All right, if you guys have been with me for any length of time, you know that one of the most important aspects to having a Rust server is building a community around that Rust server, which of course for most of us means building a community within our Discord. But even that aspect of building your community comes with different responsibilities. You have to keep your Discord members entertained, plus there's another aspect to moderation that you have to deal with just within your Discord. Well, today I'm going to show you a bot that does everything all in one. It gives something for your Discord members to play with, plus it gives the moderators of your Discord different tools that they can use to help moderate chat, kick, ban, all that other good stuff. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to set this bot all up. Plus we're going to blast through a whole bunch of the different commands that this bot provides us. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rust Admin Academy, where I teach you guys the very best tips and tricks to owning and operating a successful Rust server. On this channel, I do plugin reviews, tutorials, plus I want to give you all of the tools that you're going to need to be successful with your Rust server. So if you're brand new to the channel, consider subscribing so that you stay up to date on everything that we're working on. All right, so the bot that we're talking about today is Server Supporter Bot. It's available from codefling.com. I'll put a link to it in the video description down below. You're going to notice that it's also a referral link. So every time you use that link that is in the video description down below, it actually helps out my channel. So a couple of things you're going to notice right away. This bot was actually built by Amino. If you're a part of my community, you've been around the Discord, you know who Amino is, and he's the one that actually built and designed this bot. The second thing that you're going to notice is this right here. Yes, this is a premium bot, and a ton of work went into actually creating it. If you're watching this video within a couple of days of its release, then you're going to notice that this price is not reflective of the price that you're seeing on the screen right now, because Amino agreed to put this on sale within a couple of days of me launching this video. This would also be a really good opportunity for me to let you guys know that I'm actually doing a giveaway for one of 5 different gift cards for codefling.com. These gift cards were given to me by one of the owners of Codefling. I don't know if he wants me to say who he is for this video. I won't. So of course you're going to be wondering, how do I enter this giveaway? You need to go into my Discord, which is at discord.srtbull.com. Once you get into the Discord and actually get verified, you're going to notice the giveaways channel in there. Go in there. All of the instructions are going to be in there. I'm going to run the giveaway for about 24 to 48 hours, depending on the interaction that I get on the video. But definitely by the end of the weekend, you guys are going to know who won one of the 5 gift cards that I have to give away. So make sure you go to the Discord, discord.srtbull.com, and check out the giveaways channel. All right, let's get back to Server Supporter Bot. For some of you, hosting a Discord bot might be a little bit of a different category, maybe something that you've never worked with before. So there are a couple of different ways that you can actually host a Discord bot. Yes, you can host a Discord bot on your local host PC, or if you have a VPS or a dedicated box or something like that somewhere out in the world, you can host a Discord bot there. Amino is actually going to be updating this documentation to include the instructions on how to do that. That's not what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how to host this bot on a dedicated Discord bot server. Amino suggests using pebblehost.com, and a Discord bot at pebblehost.com would cost you about $3 a month. I, of course, will suggest that you go to icedhost.com and get a bot from them. And just for a point of note, it is 1 penny cheaper if you get it from icedhost.com. All right, so let's get right into setting up this bot. Now, before we dive all into this, there is a couple of things that I should let you know about. So there's this bot that we're going to download and install onto our bot hosting server, but this isn't like a bot that you've seen me create in other past videos. We do also have to do that process on discord.com/developers/applications, which we're going to get into in just a couple of minutes. But just to let you know that there's this bot, plus there's the application bot that we're going to create once we have this actually installed and set up. So once you've decided that you're going to actually use this Discord bot, you want to click on the green download button. Of course, it's going to go into your downloads folder as a zipped file. It should look something exactly like this. And once you've got your Discord bot from whichever host you decide to go with, hopefully it's icehost.com, you can simply click and drag this into your bot's file manager directory. And yes, as you can see, I just simply did a drag and drop from my downloads folder on my computer directly into the file manager for icehost.com. Once it's in here, we can just unzip or unarchive. That's going to extract all of the files that we need for this Discord bot to actually function. And then of course we can delete the zipped folder that we brought in. So now I'm not going to lie to you. The very first time I seen this, it appeared very overwhelming to me. It was very difficult for me to understand what to do. But if you just recognize that the only place that you need to go from here is into this configs folder right here. Once you're in here, this is where you're going to do a bulk of your work. In fact, this is where you're going to do all of your work. So once you're in your configs folder, I highly suggest you start with this config1.json. It's the shortest configuration file. And once we're done with this one, we're just going to start with the rest of them starting at the top and work our way down the list. Now, in order to make this not so overwhelming, basically just take a look at each individual section, decide if you want to use that part of this bot. If you do, you want to enter in whatever it's asking you for, and then move on to the next section. You don't have to look at things as a whole, because if you do, it looks like a whole bunch of really big documents. But if you just break this down into each individual section, it's actually quite simple. And you just simply have to make a decision on whether you actually want to use that or not. And if you don't, you can just move past it. For example, this anti-staff ping, if you don't want to use this, just leave it alone. By default, this isn't enabled. So if you don't want to use this feature, just don't do anything with this section, and that won't affect affect the performance of the bot. All right, so first things first, we need a bot token. So that means we need to go to the Discord application portal and create a bot so that we can actually get a bot token. So you head on over to discord.com/developers/applications, link in the video description down below, and you're going to see a page that looks similar to this, except you're not going to have all of these bots on here like I do. And what we want to do is we want to create a new application, top right hand corner. Let's give this guy a name. I'm just going to call this application YouTube test bot because it doesn't really matter what you call them. And let's go into the bot section on the left hand side there, and we want to add a bot to this application. So click on the blue button that says add a bot. Yes, of course. And we can of course change the name, we can change the avatar, we can do whatever we want to this bot right here. But I do need to make sure that you toggle all three of these privilege gateway intent toggles on, and then we can save those changes. Now before we go any further, this is the bot token that we need to get for that config file that we were just looking at a minute ago. So we can just copy that to our clipboard, and the next thing we do before we leave here, we need to actually bring this bot into our Discord. So click on the OAuth 2 section, and we want to click on the URL generator. In the center of this dot matrix right here, we're going to click on bot, and we're going to give this bot administrator permissions within our Discord. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, you're going to see that it generates you a link. I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, which is going to get rid of the bot token that I just copied a minute ago, but that's okay. We're going to come back to that anyways. So let's copy that, open up a new tab in your web browser, enter in that address that you just copied to your clipboard, and then it's going to ask you which server do you want to invite this bot into. And this one in my case is going to be Bull's test server, just like that. And this is just confirming that we actually want to give this bot administrator permissions. And yes, we do. Let's authorize that. And we're probably going to need to prove that we're human. Yep, looks good. We are human. Perfect. And if we go over to my Discord, you can now see that this bot has just joined my Discord. It's going to show offline on the right hand side there. That's okay. It's because it's not actually doing anything right now, but it's going to in a couple of minutes. Let's head back over to our Discord application portal. Let's go into the bot section again, and let's recopy that bot token that we grabbed from earlier. Now we can go back to our configuration file for the Discord bot. We could just enter in that bot token on the top line right there. These next settings down below here are basically what do you want the bot to be saying underneath its name when it's showing online. You can change this to whatever you want. And then of course you're going to decide if you want to be blocking people from being able to ping your staff. The bot will take care of that. So you need to decide if you want to use that. If you do, you want to enable this to true. And then you're also going to notice here that you're going to have a ton of different channels set up, as well as a ton of different roles set up. So basically what you need to decide is if you're going to use this feature, where do you want to have your admin support channel go in your Discord? So I basically just went through and quickly made a bunch of different channels in my Discord for all of the different functionalities that we can utilize just with this bot. So you're going to see me refer back to each one of these different channels at various parts throughout this video, but just know that you don't have to have a dedicated channel for each one of these functionalities. You can combine channels to do more than one function. I just broke this up to make it more difficult for myself. The important aspect here is that we're able to get the channel ID. So if we right click on admin support, you should be able to go down to the bottom here and click on copy ID. If you don't have that functionality in your Discord, that means you don't have developer mode turned on. In order to do that, you click on the gear icon next to your name, go into the advanced section, and you want to turn this toggle on right here. Once you have developer mode turned on, you should be able to right click on any channel and grab the channel ID. And then you just paste that in there. That's our admin support channel. Now, if you want to define a role within your server that you absolutely never want anybody to be able to ping, you would put that role ID right here. So to get your role IDs, you want to go into your server settings and click on roles. And then you can do the exact same thing. You can just right click on any one of these roles and copy that ID just like that. So we want no ping role ID to be my owner ID. We can also add the staff ID in here, copy ID. And then if we want to send an alert that somebody tried to ping an ID that's not allowed, we would dedicate a channel specifically for that, or combine it with another one if you wanted to. But for right now, let's just use this pings channel right here, copy that ID, and we're going to use that channel as the ping log channel. And that's all we need to do for this config. Let's save that and let's go back to our other list. And then we can, like I said before, we can just start from the top and work our way down. So the commands config is probably the biggest document that you're going to deal with within this bot. But again, if you just go through each section individually, don't look at the document as a whole and just deal with each section. It makes it super easy. So I just added in a server name there. Now the next section is the Steam API key. To get your Steam API key, you're going to go to steamcommunity.com/dev/API key. I'll put a link to it in the video description down below. I'm not actually going to show you this on video because I don't want to give away my Steam API key. It is very important that you keep that information private. Don't share your API key with anybody ever for any reason. One thing that you're going to notice about this bot is every time you do something, it's going to send you that information in Discord in the format of an embed. You can change the color of these embeds using these two sections of the config right here. Obviously, this is one. This is the other one. You're going to see where that comes into play a little bit later once we're actually using this bot. So now I'm not going to go through and show how to set up each individual feature because it is a little bit repetitive. So once you have the basic idea of how the first one works, you're going to see how all of the other ones work the same way. So we're going to take this account checker section right here. We're going to decide, do we want to enable this true or false? By default, this is set to false. We're going to change that to true. After that, you need to decide, is there a specific role within your Discord that you want to be able to use this command? And yes, of course, there are features within this bot that you don't want your regular players to be able to use, such as kicks and bans. So you would want to define a specific role, preferably an admin or moderator of your server. And I'm talking about the role, not the member themselves. So now for the account checker specifically, this we would allow every regular member to be able to utilize this functionality. So we don't need to turn that on and we don't need to define any specific roles. A good example of actually blocking it so that regular members can't use this functionality would be the EAC check, the easy anti-cheat check command built within this bot. So let's enable this by toggling this to true. Now to utilize this command within the bot, we need to actually get a Rust band API key. So to get that API key, we're going to go to rustband.com and then we're going to click on dev and API key, and we want the EAC ban API. And this is what you're going to see right here. It probably will ask you to log into Steam, and hopefully you have 2FA turned on, so it's going to ask you for that 2FA code. That's fine. Once you have that information, you can just copy that right there. And yes, I have that blurred out for a reason because I don't want you guys to have that one either. So we take that back over to our config, and then we can just posit that in that location right there. Now, this is one of those commands that you probably want to protect so that not everyone can actually use it. So role required to use this command, let's toggle that to true, and let's make it so that only staff members can actually utilize that function. So let's right click on the staff role, copy ID, and we can take that back over here. Now you're going to notice that there's multiple different quotation marks down below that. That means that we can actually put in more than one role ID to allow different roles to actually be able to utilize this command. So maybe you have different levels of people within your Discord that have different levels of priority or seniority or however you want to look at it in your Discord. You would want to put each one of their different roles in this section right here. So I'm just going to quickly blast through the rest of these. Just know that each one of these different sections is set up very similar. Do you want to enable this feature, true or false? Do you want to make it so that only members with specific roles can utilize these commands, true or false? And then what those roles are down below that. It's just that simple. So just go through it really slowly. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure you're grabbing the right roles or the right IDs for the different functionalities. Once you get down to the suggestions section, you're going to notice something a little bit different. It's actually asking you for a channel ID where you want your suggestions to actually go. Like I said earlier, I already pre-made a bunch of these channels. So let's just grab our suggestions ID right here, right click, copy ID, head back over to our config, and we can drop that in the suggestion channel ID section. Now we need to designate roles that are allowed to either accept or decline different suggestions from our Discord members. So in this case, I think we'll take the staff ID, pasta that in right there. We'll also take the on duty. Don't worry, you're going to know what I mean by that in a couple of minutes. We'll take that one and put that there. Let's also add it so that we can also have our owner actually approving suggestions from our community. So we're going to copy the ID for owner, take that back over there and pasta that in right there. So we're also going to make it so that these exact same roles can also decline different suggestions. So we're just going to copy it and pasta that in right there, just like that. Another really good section to put those different controls in so that only specific roles can perform certain functions would be the Discord kick, mute, and ban commands. So do we want to enable the mute? Yes, of course we do. Do we want to require a specific role? Yes, we also want to do that. And then we're just going to pasta in those same roles again. And then what role do we want our members to have once they've actually been muted? And as you can see there in my Discord, I've set up this role called muted, which basically takes away all of the permissions from whoever has that role assigned to them. They can't see channels. They can't chat in channels. They can't join voice chat. They basically can't do anything in the Discord for the duration that they actually have this muted role assigned to them. So let's just copy that role ID right there, take that back over to our config, and we're going to pasta that in right there. Now we've defined that. So what we're doing here is we're making it so that whoever gets this command used against them, the bot will automatically assign this role to them, which of course will then take away all of those permissions that I just talked about a minute ago. Do we want to log the mutes? Do we want to log the mutes? Yes, I think we should. So let's change this to true. Let's go grab the channel ID for our mutes channel. That's going to keep track of all of the different mute commands that were used. And we're just going to pasta that in right there. Same thing goes with kick. Same thing goes with the ban section. As you can see down below that, we've got the kick section and the ban section. You're going to want to create a similar type rule for each one of those commands. Okay, you can see that I've enabled the kick feature. I've defined the roles that are allowed to use this command. I've defined a channel where all that information is going to get reported to. And same thing with the ban section. I've basically copy pasted the exact same information over from the kick over to the ban section. So now this staff activity section is actually pretty cool, especially if you have multiple different moderators in your server. So basically what this does is it makes it so that a moderator in your Discord can go in and they can go on duty or off duty. When they're on duty, then people can contact them directly using a specific @ or ping or whatever you want to call it. And when they don't want to get any of those messages, they can go off duty. Then you can no longer ping them with concerns about your server. So the on duty role, we go back into our server settings and into our roles again. And as you can see here, I've set up this on duty role. So we're going to copy that ID right there. And I've also made it so that this role, once applied, actually sets this member apart from the rest of the members of the Discord so that people know who to contact if they have a problem or a concern with the server. So we'll take that role over to the config and we'll just paste that in right there. The staff role ID section is where you get to define which members can actually go on duty or off duty. You don't want everyone to be able to do this, so you have to define the specific roles that are actually allowed to do that. So we have a staff role. We might as well use that. So let's copy that ID, paste that in right there. And let's also make it so that the owner of the Discord can actually do the same thing. The owner can now also do on duty or off duty should they actually choose that they wanted to do that. And once we're done with that, of course, we can save our content and go back to our list and we can go into the Discord login config. Again, the exact same process is going to happen in here. I'm not going to go through any of these. Just know that each one of these individual sections you can deal with on a one-by-one basis. So just slowly go through each section and decide, do you want to use this? Put in the required information if you do, and if you don't, just roll past it. The next config that we're going to deal with is rconConnections. Basically what this does is it gives us an rcon connection to our Rust server so that we can actually have a little bit of control over what's going on in there as well. And again, same thing as before, we just go through each individual section and decide what aspect we want to use and put in the required information. Rcon enabled, true. We need the rcon IP, the rcon port, as well as the rcon password for our Rust server. If we want to be able to run commands from our bot into our Rust server, we have to enable this section right here. Plus we need to create a webhook to actually do this work. If you're unfamiliar with how to create webhooks, I'll put a link to that in the video description down below as well. But just quickly, if you go into your settings, server settings, integrations, this is where you're going to create webhooks. I've already previously set up webhooks, so I'm just going to go in and grab one of those right now. So we just want to click on the button here that says copy webhook URL, head back on over to our config, and we're going to put in that webhook URL right there. Now, what channel do we want to be able to use the commands in? Let's go back over to our Discord. Let's go into rcon right here. Let's copy that ID. Let's head back over to our config and paste that in there. Now, do we want to specify roles here? Yes, absolutely you do. You don't want everyone to be able to run commands through your rcon into your Rust server. That would be catastrophic. F7 report log, same thing. We need to create a webhook for that as well. Again, I already had one, so I'm just going to copy that webhook URL that I previously created and put that in there. We can also run a live chat log of what's actually being said in the server. We need a webhook URL set up for each one of those. By each one, I mean one for global chat and one for team chat, if you actually want to utilize both of those functionalities. Maybe you don't want team chat going into your Discord. One section here that I will bring your attention to is if you want to be able to mute players in your Rust server through your Discord bot, you have to be using BetterChatMute on your Rust server in order for this functionality to work. I suggested to Amino that he put that on the documentation page on CodeFling, that BetterChatMute is actually a required dependency if you want to utilize this functionality. At the time of the recording of this video, I don't actually know if that's done, but this is me telling you that if you want to use this functionality, you have to have BetterChatMute installed on your server. This section here is quite interesting. You know how next to a bot, you can actually have it say something underneath its name? You'll see in a lot of different Discord servers that they'll actually show underneath that bot, they'll show the population of the Rust server, how many players are on the Rust server. Amino came up with a really cool concept here where if your population isn't at a certain threshold, it won't put that population in there. The reason for that is because if somebody comes into your Discord and they see that the server is sitting at 3 or 4 players, maybe that'd be enough of a deterrent that makes them not want to join the server. So instead of showing the population at 3 or 4, we can actually make it say something else. No, this isn't an opportunity for you to fudge that information. What it does is it allows you to put in a custom message down below your bot that is enticing messaging to your players to make them want to join the server. All right, so I've now put my bot token ID in there. No, you can't steal that, because as soon as this video is done, which is before this video launches live, I'm going to actually delete that bot. So nice try. So we've also toggled on the threshold, and the threshold is at 20. So anytime the server is less than 20 population, it's going to show this message instead. As soon as the population of your server reaches 20, it'll then switch to 20 out of whatever your max population is. And then of course, if the server is offline, the bot status is going to say server offline, which is also another really good indicator. So if something happens to your server, it crashes, whatever, for whatever reason, it goes offline, you can see it right in your Discord. You don't actually have to log into your server to find out if it's online or offline. The bot just monitors that status for you. And that's it for that section. Down below that is just a repeat of the first section. So a Minos supporter bot can actually have an rcon connection to multiple different servers. You would just go through the exact same thing that we just did there in the next section down below that. And if you want to keep adding more and more and more, you can certainly do that. Of course, make sure you're following syntax so you don't actually break the config. All right, so let's save that and we'll go back and let's go into Rust Maps config. Now, if you want to be able to use this section of the bot, you would have to go to rustmaps.com and get an API key. So to get your Rust Maps API key, obviously you want to go to rustmaps.com. And if you don't have an account yet, of course, you're going to want to set one up. Once you have an account set up, you should be able to click on the generate maps button, and over on the top left hand side there, if you click on this button right here, it will show the API key. No, I'm not going to show you my API key. A bit of a disclaimer here, I don't actually know what's involved with getting an API key from rustmaps.com. This is a work in progress, so I don't know what functionality the general public gets. I'd hate to say that maybe I might have a little bit more functionality than just the regular person does, but I'm not sure. I know I've talked to the developer of this website and asked him for some things, so I don't know if my API key is actually part of that or not. Forgive me, I just don't have that information off the top of my head. So if you're able to get your Rust Maps API key, that's how you're going to do it. Once you have your Rust Maps API key, once you have your API key from rustmaps.com, of course, go and put it in the config and then go through like you did before on each of the other configs and decide whether you want to use that functionality or not. Once you're done with all of that, of course, now we're finished with all of our different configs. We can save that. We can go back to the main and just make sure that everything is set up the way that we want it to be. And then hopefully when I click on this start button, everything is going to function exactly the way that I'm expecting it to. And within a couple of seconds, the bot is online and it looks like everything is good to go. We can actually go to Discord and start playing with the different functionalities. All right, so once we're in our Discord, the prefix for this bot is the $, which can be changed if you decided that you needed to change that. It's in one of the configs. But in order to see what this bot can do, we can do $help. It's going to bring up the different categories of commands that we can use. This is hilarious. I'm loading into the game for the first, today is wipe day, in case you didn't know that. This is the first time I've seen this. This is the first time I've been able to log into a Rust server. All right, so let's start playing around with some of these commands. So like I said at the very beginning of this video, which seems like 14 hours ago, there's two aspects of this. There's the admin side of it as well as the member side of it. So we want to engage our members so that they want to stick around and play around in the Discord and bring their friends into the Discord too. All of this is in an effort to build up your community. So by giving them things to do, toys that they can play with, that's what that's all about. So we can do $stats with a Steam 64 ID. That's going to bring up the stats for whatever player's Steam 64 ID we put in there. And we can click on the green button to go to the next page. There's a ton of information in here that players can pull up on themselves or on other players. If you just want to show your hours, $hours, and then a Steam 64 ID, and then it just spits out an embed. Remember what we were talking about earlier about the different colors of the embed? The first one is this blue color. The second one would be a red color. That's what this looks like here. This is what an embed looks like. We can define this color on the side right here in the config. We can also get this bot to generate us a random door code. So we can do $code in chat, and it's going to DM us a code, and we can utilize this door code on a new base or something like that. We can do $bot info. It's going to give us information about the bot. We can do $Discord info. That's going to spit out a bunch of information about this specific Discord that we're in right now, members, boosts, etc., etc. And if somebody has a suggestion that they want to actually have added to the server or something that needs to be discussed, they can do $suggest and then whatever their suggestion might be. And as soon as they hit enter on that suggestion, it dumps it into the suggestions channel that we dedicated earlier. So we can go into that suggestions channel, and provided that we have the correct roles, we can either approve or deny that. If our players want to see all of the different servers that we have available through our group, we can do $servers, and that's going to spit out all of the information for the servers that we defined in our configuration file. So as you can see here, I just have a bunch of Aminos servers on here as well as my test server. All of that can be defined using the battle metrics ID in the configuration file. If we want to learn about the latest goings on about Rust, we can do $Rust news. And if we do 1, it's going to bring up the latest article. If we do 2, it's going to bring articles from 2 updates ago. If we do Rust news 3, it's going to bring back obviously from 3 updates ago. So Rust news 2, let's see, looks like Rust is getting pets. There you go. It feels like I could go on and on. It seems like there's so many different commands. Of course, we have the regular chat moderator commands like kick, ban, mute. If we wanted to mute this guy right here, we would go down, copy his ID. We would do $mute, enter in that person's ID, and then for how long we want to do it for. So for 1 day, we would do 1D. If you want to do 3 days, you would do 3D. If you want to do, let's say 12 hours, you would do 12H. That of course would then apply that muted role that we defined earlier, which would take away that player's permissions to do anything in the server at all. They can't chat, they can't text, they can't voice, they can't type, they can't do anything in the server for that 12 hours. Because we did set up the rconConnection, we can actually go into our rcon channel there and we can actually see all of the information that it spits out about our server. Of course, it gives all of the basic information, the uptime, the number of players that are online, entity counts, FPS, all that good information. And whenever somebody writes something in chat, let's just do hello there from inside the game. As soon as I hit enter, it's going to show up in our chat. Functionality would of course work the same way for team chat. It also logs all that information in our rcon channel. Anyways, as you guys can see, this is a very encompassing bot. There's a lot of functionality in here, a lot of different things to learn. There's no way that I can go through all of this information for you guys on a relatively short video. I understand that this isn't short, but once you have your bot all set up, just make sure you utilize the help command as well as all of the really good documentation that Amino has set up on the codefling.com website. But for right now, I am going to have to shut this video down because otherwise I could geek out about this stuff all night. I've been playing with this bot for 4 days now and I've absolutely fallen in love with it. And Amino is constantly making changes and improvements to this bot as he goes along. So once you purchase this bot for your server, just know that you're going to get free updates on it for life. So every new feature that he adds to it, you're going to get access to it. All right, don't forget guys, I'm running a giveaway for a free gift card to be used on codefling.com. Make sure you go to discord.srtbull.com and check on the giveaways channel. All right, that's it for me. I put out a brand new video every Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So until then, stay safe, take care of each other. I'll see you guys all next week.